You are welcome back to our introduction to GUI programming. Now, without wasting time, we want to build this expenditure tracker app. In the previous video, I showed you what we are going to build, and let me show you again before we start building it. Actually, this is the app. We want to build each of the GUI elements one by one. Now, how do we do this? Before we proceed, I want to tell you that we are going to use Tkinter. There is a module in Python that is called Tkinter. If you listen to my video on introduction to Python programming, why do you need Python, you will have heard me say that Tkinter. This is it. Tkinter. That is the name of the module. It's an inbuilt module for building GUI application. It comes with Python by default, so you don't need pip install. All you need to do is to import it in your project. So that is what we are going to use. Now, let's start by creating a folder for the application. So I'm going to come to my desktop and start a new folder and call it Expenditure _ tracker in small letters. So that is the folder I created, and then I right click it and open with code. Let's open it with code. Okay, I have the app here. My app may consist of one or more modules. So I'm going to create a module. Okay, when I say module, I mean a file. Every file in Python is a module. So especially Python file. There can be other files like text file, like Excel file, image file, but any Python file is a module. Now, so if I click on this button, I will call it main.py. You can call it any name, but by convention, such first file, we call it main.py. You can even call it app.py, as the case may be. So I have the file. Then the first thing I'm going to do, now, you may not know what Tkinter is all about, but as we continue, I want you to code along with me, and I'll be explaining each of the elements we are going to be creating and some of the functionalities of Tkinter. I will be explaining them. Now, we are going to import Tkinter module. If you go to your command prompt and you type pip list, you will discover that Tkinter should be part of the items in the list. Tkinter. Okay, it's not, because we didn't download it. It's already part of Python. Sorry for that. So we don't need that. So just say import Tkinter. So that is it. I want to zoom a little. So that, okay. VS Code has a way of giving you information. If you just place your mouse over the module, you have some information. Wrapper function for TCL, TK, Tkinter, do this, do this, do that. Now, you ready that information. It provides classes which allow the display, positioning, and control of widgets. Top level widget are TK and top level. And so there are other widgets like frame, label, entry, text, canvas, button. Now, I think I like this kind of introduction. Very wonderful. I would like you to read through it. Properties of the widget are specified with keyword arguments. Keyword arguments have the same name as the corresponding resource. Wow. Under TK. Now, look at this point. You have already grabbed a point that in Tkinter we create widget. So maybe you want to put a text box on the screen. This is a text box. This item is a label. So you use widget for search. Okay, let me over again. Now another point is this: you are going to position the widget by using what we call geometry managers. So we have 3 of them: place, pack, and grid. That is what we use to position widget on the screen. Then when you have done that, then there are what we call events. You create events. So these are the 3 main things about Tkinter. You create widget, you create you position your widget by using geometry managers. Then you create event, that is action for your widgets. So let's quickly do that. Now I don't want to be using Tkinter all the time, typing Tkinter all the time. So I'm going to say import Tkinter as TK. As TK. Alright, so that is that. That is all I need to do for now, for import. Then when you have done that, there is a class in Tkinter, they call it TK. So you are going to create an object out of that class. You remember object-oriented programming. I will call the object root. Root equals to TK dot. That class is called TK. Then when you create object out of class, you type the name of the class, then you put parentheses in front of the class. This TK dot means that this class is coming from this module called TK. Alright, so is there any argument? There are arguments, but we are not using argument for now. So just say TK dot TK. Note this capital letter. Every class starts with capital letter. I hope you remember that. So I created that object. Then there is a method for that object. We call it main loop. So we are going to call it root.mainLoop. So it's a method or a function, class function. That is a function written in a class is called method. So that is why it is small letter main loop. That is the name of the function. Now with this, I have created an application. With these 3 lines, an app is already created. Okay, let's see whether it is true or not. Okay, let's go to our menu, terminal. Let's start a new terminal. Okay, and let's run this app. So, okay, my terminal, navigate to my folder, expenditure tracker, this folder. Okay, so I'm going to run the file inside the folder by typing Python as we normally do, main.py. Okay, you see, I have an app. This is the app. It's a GUI app. The characteristic of GUI app is you have a window, is resizable. You have close button, close button, expand button, minimize button. This is a typical window, similar to all the. Okay, I think I've got to close this demo so that we can build our own. So that is the app. All right. Then, what do we do with this app? It's empty, no button on it. So I'm going to call some functions of this root object. So number 1, I'm going to give our app a specific size. So I'm going to say root.geometry. So there is a method called geometry for this TK class. Don't forget that this root is already an object created out of this TK class. So I can call every function or method of this class by saying root.something. So root.geometry. It takes a parameter which is a string. So I'm going to specify the size, 750 pixels by, for the height will be 750. The width will be 750, the height will be 450. So 750 by 40 is my size. Let's save that and run it. Oh, I don't want to run it that way. I think let's run it here. I will have to close this. Actually, I don't like that. That's why I encourage you to install this code runner. Okay, now let's run it again. what do you notice? It's bigger, a specific size now. Okay, let me increase this one to 1000 and let's see what happens. Oh, wider. So that is the essence of geometry. All right. I close that. Let me go back to, I want to be using terminal so that we can be on the same page. Okay, I've put geometry. What of title? Let's call the title function root.title. And it takes a parameter of what you want the title to be. I'll call it expenditure tracker. Okay, let's run it again. Come to my console. Okay, you see the title here? That is the title. We can change this icon to our own icon, but it's beyond the scope of this class. Okay, for now. So let's close this. So I put title. Then what of background color? I want to put background color. So I will say root.configure. There is a method called configure, which takes a lot of parameters. Configure. So even Visual Studio Code is giving me IntelliSense, helping me with to understand that okay, there is a property called background which is about color, a BD property, BG, that is another property, background, and cursor, menu, pad Y, and so on. Okay, what we want to do is background equals to, you say background equals to, you are going to use color code. If you are familiar with web design, I think for people taking our course on web design with Python Django, you are going to learn this. We use hexadecimal color code. So I'm going to say hash 232323. Hexadecimal color code. We use 6 digit A, B, C, D, E, F, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. You can combine any of them to give you a color. Combining 6 of them, then start with hash and put it in quotation marks. So that is the background. So if I run this, make sure you save your work by clicking this button, save all. This is save all. I have put my, under file menu, I've enabled auto save. That is why I don't bother saving. It's automatically saved. So let's run this. Wow. I have a kind of a dark background. So if you remember, that resembles what I showed the other time. So looking at what I showed the other time, this is it. So you see, I have the same color. All right, let's move ahead. Now that we are here, what should be the next thing? Now, this root object is the major container. So we're going to be placing every other container and every other element of this GUI on top of this root. So definitely I'm going to have a label here, another label, a text box, another label. This is not a text box, it's a spin box, a number box. You can say I can increase the number, I can put number, okay? So these are for numbers. Now I'm going to have buttons, button, label, the table, and another label. So let's put these items on top of our root object. So what is the first item I'm going to put? Is going to be a label. A label is just a text on your screen. It's not just to display something. So I'm going to create what we call what do I call it? Let me call it title underscore LBL. This is my own convention. I append LBL. Remember, it's a label, because by the time your program gets bigger, then you will have to know which element which is which. So I will say title underscore LBL equals to, I'm going to use a tk dot label. So I'm going to call this module and call the class, label class. So I will use label. You see, start with capital letter, just the same way we call TK class. Okay, TK is for creating the window I demonstrated just now. Okay, this window. All right, where this label will create a label for us. So it takes some parameter. Number one, text. Okay, I'll call it. It's a string. Why is this thing coming? I don't want it to come out. Expenses or okay, expenditure tracker. That is the first argument. Don't forget that objects, when you are creating object out of a class, every class has properties or argument that you supply. If you don't understand that, please go back to my lecture on object-oriented programming. Okay, so the first argument is the text. The second one is BG, which is background color. So I'm going to use the same background color. I will use ash 232323. Okay, then comma, foreground color. That will be when that thing appears, we just press escape button. It's becoming annoying, but we need it. Foreground color will be ash FF. F in 6 places in web design or programming means white color. So we want it to be white color. Look at the demo. It's going to be white color. The another thing we are going to do is we are going to put font. Okay, font equals to, font is a tuple. Is a tuple that takes the first one is the font type, Arial. Let's use Arial, and you put a space there, followed by the size 15. Okay, now that I've done that, I've put a label. Let's run this. Okay, I need to stop this first before I can run it, or you type Ctrl C. Okay, let's run it. Python main.py. Nothing shows. My label is not showing. This is serious. Okay, I will close it. Why is it not showing? Because I created a label. I call it title. You can give it any name you want. Title.lbl. But I didn't place it on the screen. I did not place it on the screen. Okay, how do I place it? I will say title.lbl.pack. I will use a method. There is a method for every widget. Label is a widget, and I created this object from this label class, and this same class has a method called pack. Okay, I'm going to pack it, and there is something missing again. Every widget must have a parent, so that is the first argument, which is root, or else it should not be placed on in anywhere. So I need to specify the first argument is the parent, the root, then every other argument like text, background color, foreground color, and font. You do that after that. So after that, you now call the pack method. I think with this we should be good to go. So let's come back to terminal, call main.py. Wow, see that I have expenditure tracker, but it's close to the top there. So this pack method has some argument called pad-y, padding. You pad it. Pad-y means you give it a vertical space on top and below. So let's pad it with 30. Specify screen unit 30. So padding y. Let's call it again. Before I can run it, I have to close it here. Deliberately, I didn't want to close the demo so that we can be comparing. So I want to run it again. Good. I have expenditure tracker there. Okay, let's close it. I want this font to be more than that. Let's make it 20. The font size to be 20. Okay. Let's come back here and run it. Wow. So I have that. So I'm going to stop here. In the next video, I will continue by placing other widgets. Thank you for listening.